You're listening to the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Podcast, the podcast that keeps your practice sharp and your clients happy. I'm your host, Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi, and every week we're bringing you insights, tips, and real-world conversations with top immigration attorneys and industry leaders. Whether you're here to grow your practice, stay on top of the latest trends, or get inspired, you're in the right place. Ready? Let's go. Hello, fellow Toolboxers. Welcome to episode number 425 of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Podcast with your host, Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us. This is a weekly episode that we do Mondays, will rain or shine, apparently, where we talk about the top 10 things I learned this last week in U.S. immigration updates and interesting things that have popped up. And it kind of saves you the trouble of having to follow the news because it's going to be very stressful and annoying doing that. But just listen once a week for 20, 30 minutes, and you get all you need to know in immigration practice. Well, got to give a disclaimer. It's not everything, but as much as you need. Before we start, I want to thank everyone who's listening and especially people who are checking out the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, who is supported by a wonderful sponsor, e-immigration by Serenade. I got to tell you, if your workflow still involves cutting and pasting and formatting documents manually, you're going to love this news. The right AI tools can transform your intake process, help you draft full case packets, reduce errors, and automate repetitive work without compromising security. The experts at visalaw.ai, you know them, with Greg Sisk and his team, visalaw.ai and eimmigration are hosting a free live webinar on October 14th to show you how this isn't theory, it's practical guidance for real legal work. Save your spot at get.eimmigration.com/events. Again, that's get.eimmigration.com/events. And then you'll be able to learn more about the partnership they have, how you can use AI along with case management systems and the like to really take your firm to the next level. There's just so many things you got to do to make your firm up to date nowadays and compete. And that's an important one of them right there, is using software just like that. And as well as checking out the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine that has fresh information and joining our community page on circle.so. It's like a Facebook competitor. I can't say it's a competitor, so it's an educational community as private. So you can come free if you're a U.S. immigration lawyer. Just go to our website, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Click on the community link, get a registration page where you could put your bar information, make sure you're U.S. attorney, and get you involved. That way, you'll get our free content there, as well as our premium courses, EB1A, marriage immigration, starting your own practice. All the details you need will follow. But just get started and work with us much more. And finally, if you're watching this, you like it, please like and subscribe and leave a good review, especially on Spotify, so we get higher in the rankings there. Having said all that, none of the information provided here is intended as individual legal guidance. Please consult with an immigration attorney about your case, but y'all know that already. Now, hopefully in the background, the sound isn't killing you. I have a dryer in the same room where my office is, and it's running. So hopefully that shuts down. It says 10 minutes, and hopefully I have to listen to the audio of this over again. Make sure it's not bad. But I think usually this microphone only captures the noise around it, so it won't be too bad. So let's start with DACA. Last week I mentioned that DACA is back, and there's some top-level lawyers out there that were mentioning stuff. But it turns out it's not perfectly back. The government responded to the government responded to the federal court. I was in charge, giving it an idea. Man, are you guys getting mosquitoes too? I have mosquitoes flying over everywhere. My feet are just like a mincemeat right now with so many itchy. As I'm talking, I'm itching my feet. Los Angeles is inundated with mosquitoes. It's fall at this point. They got to start dying away. It's horrible. Summer wasn't as bad. Some summers mosquitoes are unbearable how bad it is. But it's annoying. I just have one fly next to me, and I want nothing to do to stop everything to kill it. But it's a live show I'm recording right now, so I have to bear with it as it eats me apart right now. Hopefully it just dies of too much blood or something. I need to get like spiders in my room and just put cobwebs everywhere. It's Halloween coming up too. So these mosquitoes get caught in there, and flies too. Flies are everywhere. I don't know what's going on in LA that's like this. It's so dry here. I'm sorry to go on this tangent, but if you have mosquitoes, you know how obnoxious that is. Okay, so anyways, so the government gave the court material. I said, this is how we're going to change this DACA system up. And by the way, once I got that, I made a flyer breaking down what it means and all that stuff so you can hand it out to people. And it's also white label too. So it's going to be in the Circle.so community page. So you could get it, put your logo up there, and post it on your social media. But I had to take it back because it's not finalized. But anyways, the judge has to finalize it. FYI, I'm the ombudsman of the toolbox, so I got to mention when there's an error, so I'm going to put it there. Okay. Number two, we had a great so the associate director of Kelly White of public engagement training at AILA-DC chapter chair-elect, a colleague of ours, put this post on LinkedIn saying, state-by-state guide for this occasion, for this fight. ICE is currently transferring immigrants to wear them down and to wear out practitioners who are forced to keep chasing the rules for each new state. In just the past month, I've seen immigrants move through 2 to 6 detention centers under 2 weeks. This is like cruel and unusual punishment. For attorneys, the hurdle is real. Figuring out how to appear on a limited basis or work with a co-counsel in a district you've never practiced in before. No one should be wasting precious time piecing that together in the middle of a crisis. That's why I'm sharing this chart created by, I think it's Acacia's, ACACIA, Habeas Bridge Project, August 2025, which summarizes the pro hoc vice and co-counsel rules by federal district court. I have the link there to share. And it says, grateful to my colleague Hector Ruiz, the team at Acacia Center for Justice. So you get that information because, man, it's if you're doing that kind of work and it's really needed, it's hard to figure out what's going on with that. So I want to share that and have that in the show notes below when you're finding the show. The next thing I want to mention is that it's H-1B, the H-1B craziness that's happening. One thing, I guess, is tip number 3 at this point, is that H-1B ones are not included in this $100,000 fee. It's H-1Bs, and the U.S. Embassy in Singapore has apparently posted that the H-1B ones are not included, so you can know that. So if they're not, I guess the H-1B one, the Chile has one too, and maybe that's covered as well. And so just be aware of that if you're doing those kind of cases. It seems like it's not going to be included. On the other end, if you are going to do an H-1B case, be aware that there's also, if someone is already on an H-1B, they can add a part-time H-1B to that. So you can potentially get it there, avoid the $100,000 fee potentially. And as well as based on the guidance that was provided by the Biden administration, they said that you could, before there's iffy if you be self-employed or H-1B, is you can't be self-employed H-1B in those kind of cases. But if you had a couple of percentage, now they're essentially saying you be self-employed. That's more nuanced conversation, but be mindful of that. Someone comes to you, it's so good to have that backup in case you lose your first H-1B job. The other one can take care of it, and the spouse might not be able to, maybe able to keep their H-4, for example. So that stuff could be very helpful. All right, tip number 5 is the Trump administration was hit with a lawsuit to halt the $100,000 H-1B entry fee. The federal court, they argue, should set aside the $100,000 fee because, and so it's interesting, is a coalition of labor unions, healthcare providers, academic groups, religious organizations, individual. I wouldn't expect labor unions to be arguing this. A lot of times, labor unions are against kind of immigration programs, but they filed it saying this is like falls afoul of the various requirements built to increase fee essentially, which it probably does the way they did it. So I don't know if they could just do that on a whim like that. But that lawsuit is in. Greg Sisson and this team that do this impact kind of immigration lawsuits, plus a bunch of other people. I just want to name him. There's a lot of people are working hard on these. But that's pending, and we'll see where that's going to go. So it's very interesting there. But number 6 is interesting. So Charles Kuck has been going hard, talking about last Friday when apparently ICE launched a nationwide operation. He says reportedly named Freaky Friday that will target unaccompanied children age 14 and older of all nationalities. So Charles Kuck posted this on his Twitter, and then DHS started talking like Trump himself. Now all the other government websites, CBP, DHS, everyone's talking like Trump to kind of be cool or something like that. This like antagonistic way of doing things, and they're like, quote in bold caps, and I'll put the link to this in the show notes. Chuck Kuck is wrong. They essentially wrote Chuck Kuck. The anti-ICE activists have made up a ridiculous term, Freaky Friday, to instill fear and spread misinformation that drives the increased violence against federal law enforcement. And then they go into the fact that they actually are going to do that. So I say it's wrong, free, but it's like, yeah, we got to do that because these people are being smuggled in by drug traffickers and stuff like that. So, the institutions are really like lowering themselves to be doing this kind of stuff. But, Charles is putting a lot of heat on himself getting that kind of attention. But that is what it is. That guy's a fighter. Number 7, Supreme Court lets Trump administration end temporary legal protections for $300,000 Venezuelans. So TPS for Venezuelans seems to be dead. I haven't read the court case. I'll have it in show notes, CBS News report. But that's something you should be aware of. This back and forth that's constantly happening at TPS. Every day it's like a seesaw this way, that way. But that's happening as well. Tip number 8, President Donald Trump is considering imposing a massive drop in the cap of refugee admissions from 125,000 to 7,500, and is expected to favor white South Africans over immigrants fleeing war or famine, according to people familiar with this report, Bloomberg News report. And tip number 9, this is really important. A lot of business-based practitioners are having these issues about the updated adjudication based on the signature requirement for forms I-129 in particular. And it says it appears USCIS completely backed off its new interpretation of the signature requirement on the form I-129F. So far, they approved all petitions using arguments against the NOIDs. I can't definitely confirm. This is Jonathan Wasden, former government litigator, now on this side suing the government. He says, it's on LinkedIn, I'll have in the show notes. I can't definitely confirm this, but I strongly suspect trial attorneys from DOJ's Office of Immigration Litigation played a role here. We raised this issue repeatedly with attorneys representing USCIS in unrelated cases. We let them know that their dockets are about to explode if USCIS didn't correct this. We also gave them the facts and argument they would be facing. In my experience, that the agency is far more responsive to DOJ in these matters than they are to immigration attorneys. Once they looked into the arguments and facts, DOJ most likely persuade the agency that are going to get obliterated in court. So a tip to the hat of DOJ and their level-headed advice. So that's hopefully that happens. I've had colleagues tell me that they're dealing with this issue. It's a catastrophic issue that the case all get denied for something like this, and they lose filing fees too. So that would have been a big one. And then number 10, ChatGPT, the people at ChatGPT, OpenAI launched a new app called Sora, and it became the number one app in the App Store. And what's interesting about it and terrible about it is essentially they could get a few, seconds almost probably a video from you, and they could completely do an AI version of you, like you're talking, you tell what to say. So there's gonna be a catastrophe for fraud. I'm surprised they did this. People are already doing like videos of famous TV shows and actors and stuff. So there's gonna be a lot of copyright litigation of this, but it's very dangerous for what we do because we already have a bunch of fraud accounts happening for immigration attorneys. And the ability to do this, all these videos and then say maybe a wrong email address or phone number for you to call and send money to. And then maybe eventually them doing live consultations, but the video shows us in our voice, but they're talking. Obviously, that technology is there too. And they can really mislead people. So it's very dangerous. I'm surprised they put this out there and the App Store even accepted to put this out there. The App Store apparently just listen to what the government says, but doesn't care about anything else. It's a big state. It's neat. It's very interesting. And some of the videos I've seen of it is very fascinating. But the fraud is so crazy that could happen from this. So I'm really worried about it. I want to put you in touch. You all may not have any hundreds of hours of video like I do on the internet, but it's very easy for you to take thousands of hours essentially at this point that I put out there. And it don't need that much time. They said if you just have a little bit of recording of you, they could do it. Again, it's a neat toy to play with, and probably it's gonna have some good to it. Maybe law firms I don't have time to do any videos, so my team members could use that as AI and have me talk internally. But we have some way for people to decipher. So this kind of stuff's coming down the pipeline. It's really crazy. But it seems like I say everything's really crazy because it is. We're in the future now, essentially. So the future that we thought of was going to come in the 90s is about to get here. And I wish we went back to the 90s. It's I'm getting old and wishing for old days or what, but I'm I don't really like these changes. It does help business wise. It's easier for me to do a podcast and everyone in the world listens and I get business from it. But the consequences are so severe that I'm not too down with it, and I'm coming curmudgeon about it. But having said all that, thanks so much for listening, everybody. If you want to reach out, email me info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com and follow me on LinkedIn as well and Instagram. At LinkedIn, I write a lot and do some more interesting stuff on John Khosravi, my personal page. But on Instagram, a lot of people listen to clips and get notified of really big updates. I'm not an Instagram person, but people are into it, which a lot of people, they're really into it. So that's the best way to follow. Just search for Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. You'll find it right there. Thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye. If you like this episode, follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, where we post the latest statistics, tips, and more. And stay tuned for more from the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast.